Hey, Jamie McKean here again. Today in this video we're going to be talking now about the final piece of the foundation from Book Yourself Solid, which is how to talk about what you do. Okay? How to talk about what you do. We're going to talk about 5 pieces of this. We're going to talk about why men should never multitask, and especially in an elevator. We're going to talk about why we should learn to talk properly, which if you've been following me in these videos is quite funny considering I've tripped up on a few words. The 5-part step-by-step formula to be able to very easily construct the how to talk about what you do. And the last 2 pieces is education on how to have a conversation, which in this day and age people may say, I know how to talk to people, Jamie. But this is the conversation which will then mean you never have to have a sales conversation again in your life. So if you are like many people, me included, you don't feel comfortable having an actual conversation thinking it's sales based, you just want to have a natural conversation and by the end of it you agree to do work together. That's what we're going to be talking about here. And then the last piece is super simple, effective tips on how to really get ahead in the conversation piece. Alright, so men are multitasking. All about men are multitasking in an elevator. Talking about the elevator speech, the elevator pitch. If you don't know what an elevator speech is as you've likely guessed, an American term. From England it'll be called a lift, but an elevator pitch or an elevator speech is from about the 80s, when someone would get into a lift with an executive and they would try and pitch an idea to that person before the executive got out of the top floor of the lift, or whichever floor they were on. You assume top floor. So that means someone had to pitch their product or idea or service within about 30 seconds. That's an elevator pitch. Now, if you've been reading Book Yourself Solid and Michael Port's work, he talks about having polled people for thousands of years. Michael's not that old. He's quite a nice guy, quite a young guy. Not 1,000 odd years old, and he'll probably be watching this video. What he's trying to say there is when he has polled thousands of people, he enjoys that, so it wouldn't have felt like thousands of years. He actually really loves the keynote speeches. But when he polls thousands and thousands of people and says, please put your hand up if you enjoy listening to an elevator pitch, out of thousands there's probably one guy at the back who's looking a little dishevelled and maybe smells of alcohol. When he says, okay, that's who enjoys giving the elevator speech, who enjoys listening to an elevator speech, same deal, probably the same bloke at the back putting his hand up. So no one actually enjoys giving it and listening to it. So it's not liked. It's not right for nowadays, for more of our social environment, and it's not effective. When was the last time, if anyone did give you an elevator pitch or speech, that you bought something? So imagine if you could actually have a conversation with someone, clearly articulate what it is you have to offer, and that means you can talk comfortably from 30 seconds, for 3 minutes, for 30 minutes, or 3 hours. What would that do to you? What would that do to your confidence if you were to come across anyone at any time that could be an opportunity for you? How does that sound? There's a 5-part step-by-step formula. Okay? So the part 1 is to summarise the target market. Okay, so that's part 1. Summarise your target market. And by the way, these 5 parts that we're about to go through are really just a sharpening of all the work that you've done before in the other 3 pieces of the foundation. Okay? So assuming you've done that work and you've kept up so far with the tasks in the book, then this is going to be easy. If you haven't, that's okay. Just go back and all the work pieces are in the book. But you can bring all this together in these 5 parts. So part 1, summarise the target market in 1 sentence. Part 2 is identify and summarise the 3 biggest and most critical problems your target market faces. Okay? Number 3 is list how you solve them. So those problems that are listed, how in your business do you articulate how you solve them? And present the client with investable opportunities. That term took me a little while to really get my head around, but what that means is if there's a problem and you have a solution, then if you have a solution that someone can then say, in an example with me, Jamie, that solution looks fantastic, can I have it please? You're giving that person an opportunity to invest in that solution, which actually literally means that they can buy from you. They can buy the solution that you have for them. So that's an investable opportunity. That's part 3. Part 4 is demonstrate the number 1 result you can help your clients achieve. We talked earlier about to be able to hang your hat on a single result and make sure that that promise that you give people, you can deliver it. Have that a really sharp sentence, okay, for that part 4. And part 5, final, is the reveal the deeper core benefits of your clients and what they will experience from you. So we talked about FEPS, if you remember, so financial, emotional, physical and spiritual, digging into those a little deeper. If you've got those 5 parts, which should be really easy because it's just taking it from the work before, then what you can do is you can use that now in a short, medium and long construct, conversation. Again, this is all mapped out in the book, step by step, paint by numbers basically for you. And the short version, short and sweet version it's called, and no, that's not me. Short and sweet version is I help, part 1, insert part 4. So, if you remember in one of my earlier videos, I talked about one of my earlier conversations is I help business owners make more money. I help business owners get more time. So that's a very quick way to have a conversation, to start a conversation. And what I find in networking events when I have that conversation with people and say, Jamie, what do you do? And I say, I help business owners make more money. Their next question, 9 out of 10 times is, how do you do that? So I start a conversation. And by the way, that conversation carries on to say, well, tell me about your business. And then all the rest of the conversation is based around their business and how I could possibly help in their business in a non-threatening way and just giving them ideas. And quite a lot of times people say, wow, that's great, we need to talk more, Jamie. Okay. So, and feel free to borrow that, and if it works really well and you make lots of money, that's great. Thanks very much. Just send the check to theprofitpartnership.co.nz. Okay, so that's the short and sweet version. I help, part 1, insert part 5. I think I said part 4 before, part 5. The next piece is mid-length version. So 3 pieces. I help, part 1. I help business owners. And then you talk to them. Okay, what do you do? Well, you know how their business owners have these types of problems? Yeah, I do. Well, what I do is part 3 and part 5. It's that easy. So it just starts giving you some more confidence on how you can put different sentences together to start those conversations off with people. And this all takes practice, and I'll cover that in a little bit, so don't worry too much about that. But after the mid-length, we go to the long version. The long version is actually only 4 points. Okay, it says, you know how, insert part 1 here, do or have or feel like part 2? Okay, so pretty simple. And someone will say, yes, I do. Okay, well, what I do is, and you go into part 3, so you start talking about the solutions you bring to the table. They'll say, okay, that sounds good, and so the result is, insert part 5, I help them make more money or free up more time or get more sleep. FEPS again, remember? Financial, emotional, physical, spiritual. And then the benefits are, and you put a whole lot of all of the, as many of the FEPS in there as well as possible. So the more of these you can bring together in this conversation, the more it just flows. So when you're talking to really any prospects or anyone who may know people, they can better articulate themselves what you do. Okay, they can then take away, and they may have relatives or friends who they know who have those problems. Oh, I know someone who has that problem. Oh, get them to ring me. So that's how you can use that. So they're the 5 parts. Okay, and the 5 parts in the short and sweet, medium and long version. And then what there is really to finish off here is some super simple tips of how to really get comfortable as much as possible and as quickly as possible with this way of, in a sense, selling. You are having a conversation, and you're naturally having a conversation and giving the other person an opportunity to basically invest, an investable opportunity. Okay, so to make it easy, practice with people around you, practice at home, practice with friends. Speak as well from inside. Speak from your heart, speak with passion, and from my perspective, this is where the self-expression really comes out, because if you really love what you do, when you're talking to someone and you're self-expressed, it's just natural. Okay, I don't like having sales conversations. I like talking to people about what I do. They are two different sentences that I've just said. They're the same thing, okay, but I'm a lot more comfortable in the second one because I'm really passionate about it, and people tell me that passion comes across and they want to work with me because I really enjoy what I do. When you're talking to people, smile a lot. We've got the video on, I'm smiling. Lots of eye contact, so really making sure they know you're connected to them. Also lots of listening. I can't listen to you at the moment because it's a bit of a one-way channel. But when you're talking to people, a lot of listening so you can really try and understand where they're, basically just to understand them more, whether it's their challenges, whether it's any part of the